Yes, I'm aware I was seen there, guys. That was deliberate, believe me. Hey everybody and welcome to this Wednesday's MBE Movie News. I am of course John from MBE, coming in a little bit later than the scheduled time. That's because, to be quite frank with you guys, as ever, I am chasing things dramatically. I hadn't even set this show up until 15 minutes ago, so you'll have to bear with me here. I'm going to be trying to rattle through the show in a sort of competent and professional manner, but look, I digress. All that crap aside, I'm going to get right into the headline, as you have probably ascertained from the thumbnail. It's all about Tenet, Christopher Nolan's event movie of 2020, potentially. It seems to be coming out, guys. It seems to be confirmed that it is indeed coming out this year, because tickets are on sale in the United Kingdom for this event movie. They went on sale the early hours of Tuesday morning, I believe, midnight going into Wednesday morning, I should say. And feverish anticipations are showing that perhaps this movie will indeed be a success, that Warner Brothers will be vindicated for sort of kowtowing to the demands of Christopher Nolan, for not pushing this movie back even further than what they would probably have liked to have done at the sort of behest of Christopher Nolan. Apparently they're flying off the shelves, if that's even a thing, for tickets. The tickets are selling very well. I don't know what's happening here in Scotland as of yet. We have not yet got any theatres opened. I believe the theatres are going to be opening up just prior to the release of Tenet on the 26th of August. They are supposedly opening up here on August 21st. So I presume the likes of View and Odeon and Cineworld will be opening the ticket sales up to Scotland as well, with an anticipation to perhaps open the movie theatres and get bums and seats here as well. I'm very excited for this movie, guys, as I've probably alluded to many times. As you can see here, it's coming in from Variety, and quite plainly saying Tenet tickets on sale at the UK cinemas. We have an array of very interesting things going on here, and tweets from Clapham Picture House. We've got all the various different posters that are popping out. Incidentally, we have got a new poster for this movie as well, and it looks mighty fine indeed. We have John David Washington and Robert Pattinson looking across each other through that sort of glass pane which has bullet holes in it. This is very exciting times, man. I'm excited as hell for this movie. I hope it lives up to the expectations. There's been a lot of people speaking about this on and off now for about 6-7 months, if not longer. Is it going to come? Is it not going to come? It feels like it is now a palpable thing that we are going to get this movie hitting the theatres in pretty short order. And it feels like it was never going to happen. So this is an almighty good moment for me, man. I'm definitely going to see this movie. If not opening night, then at least within the first few days of it hitting the theatres. Provided we don't have any bad news between now and August 26th. I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see what Christopher Nolan has gave us. I can't wait to see if he can make this a success, even in a global pandemic. If he can make $250 to $300 million, I believe it's the latter number which is required for it to break even. If he can make that and even more, and have another hit in his sort of armoury of just hit after hit after hit, even in the midst of a virus-killing sort of coronavirus pandemic, then this man will be untouchable from here until he hangs up his sort of take box, whatever you call those things. Man, look, I just hope that we do get it. I hope that our First Minister here gives the green light and we can get some theatres opened here in Scotland and that we can crack on. I've not even flung the graphic up. That is not even the correct graphic either. What a shambles this is today. We've got the old graphics from the previous show. I don't know why, because I did set them up. I'll tell you why it is. Guys, it's because I'm in the actual wrong scene on OBS. There you go. We'll get our shit in order now. Look, I ain't get much more to add to it, man. It was a short and sweet little headline. It's the sort of eye-catching news topic of today. Everybody's excited about Tenet. Everybody's excited to see how this movie is going to perform in theatres. Are people going to be drawn out to see this movie? Will he save the cinema experience? If not in this year, forever? Because people are speaking widely that this could be the end of theatre going as a sort of hobby, the theatre going experience, people getting back to cinemas. Could we see the onset of digital media, VOD, streaming services? could this be not only a very expensive lesson for everyone, governments, countries, every business, corporate businesses and just catering businesses, but for the theatres themselves? Could they go out of business? Hopefully not. Hopefully Christopher Nolan is here to save the day. Hopefully we will see another hit for the man, and hopefully I'll be there in at least one of those opening nights to go and see this goddamn movie. It's been too long, and I'm so excited to see it. But look, guys, in a short little interconnected topic, another movie which has been doing the rounds for seemingly forever, which has had a sort of question mark or numerous question marks hanging over its head over the possibility of whether it's going to be hitting theatres or not ever, is obviously Disney's New Mutants, which we have had in our most anticipated movies list for about 3 years now, and it's still not out. But look, it seems like the studio are ploughing ahead with plans to release this movie in theatres on, I believe, August 28th. I don't have the figure or the date right in front of me, but they have released a very dashing looking new poster for this movie, which I will pop up in short order. That is a little sort of preview of it, but we have the full IMAX experience poster there, and look, I have to say, what a truly sublime looking poster that is. It's sort of psychedelic in some strange way. We have lots of luminous and blue colours happening, that amazing logo in there, and it is August 28th incidentally that this movie is planned to be releasing in the theatres in. Now, do I think this is something that will happen? We do have an array of doubters sort of questioning even now with this poster coming out whether this movie will indeed hit the theatres or whether it is just destined for VOD and streaming. Of course, we had the director of the movie saying that it will indeed have a release in the theatres no matter what, because it's part of the contract that Disney got themselves into when they took over Fox a couple of years ago. But people are just, they've not got a lot of optimism for this movie. It seems like it's one of those cursed productions that will never see the light of day. But I, for one, have a different opinion to that. I think with Tenet ploughing ahead for a 26th of August release, I feel like they will be the sort of the canary going down the mine, if you'd like, testing for gases. I know it's just a 2-day sort of canary experience, and it may not make or break whether this movie sees the theatres or not, but I feel like with them pushing ahead, ploughing ahead, Christopher Nolan having a degree of confidence that he can maybe eke some eyeballs out to watch his movie, I feel like Disney equally have some confidence in flinging us under the bus, if nothing else, in the theatres, and seeing how sort of it rebounds, how the experience of going to watch movies rebounds. Well, people want to go back to theatres and see a movie like New Mutants. And look, if it fails, then the reason I think this will happen, that it will ultimately hit the theatres, is because I just don't think Disney care about this movie. I think it being an original Fox title, which transitioned over during the takeover of Fox, obviously the Disney merger, I don't feel like they care enough about this movie's success. They've not invested in it like they've invested in Eternals and in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and all of their own releases. They have not invested in it. They don't really care. I don't think in their heart of hearts they would release it in the theatres if they could get away with it. The fact they do have that agreement with the director and obviously Fox prior to that they have to release it in theatres before it goes to VOD, that's sort of tying their hands behind their backs. And just the fact that it is an original Fox sort of release, we've seen it. They flung Dark Phoenix under the bus. They flung so many of the Fox releases under the bus. I don't think they genuinely care enough, and that's why I ultimately believe this movie will go in theatres on August 28th. Come what may, do or die, it will hit the theatres. And look, I'm excited to see this movie as well. This is a movie that we've been speaking about, as I said previously, for years now. I'm really excited to see what Maisie Williams, Anya Taylor-Joy, the other guy from perhaps Stranger Things, something Heaton, can't recall his first name for some strange reason. I'm excited to see what this young cast have brought to the table with this one, and whether they've hit it out the park, and whether there is perhaps some potential that if it does sort of take off and it's a success in theatres, eventually hits VOD and gets good numbers, whether we may indeed see a trilogy of movies in this sort of self-contained universe, because we know that the director, whose name is completely eluding me at the moment too for some god-awful reason, we know that he was out speaking and he's very passionate about the story, and he says that he did have plans for a trilogy. But look, that will be perhaps tested in the theatres. This is a great testing experience for Disney in general. This will test the desire of audience members worldwide, and hopefully in the States as well, when that whole coronavirus thing calms down there and maybe Donald Trump gets a grip of it finally. It'll be great for them to test the waters for the audiences and whether they can make money during this pandemic and they don't have to wait until after a vaccine is found. But look guys, I'm going to move on. I'm sweating like an absolute lunatic here. It's so warm in this room. I've had to shut the window because I don't want people hearing me speaking very loudly outside. It's very embarrassing. So I'm sweating very, very much here, and it's not conducive, shall we say, to speaking with confidence. But look guys, next topic's coming in from Hollywood Reporter, and it's about everyone's most lovable director, everyone's sort of favourite director, I want to say. Some would say Spielberg. Me personally, I've grown up watching great mobster movies, some truly great studies of the human essence, experience, period. Taxi Driver, Kings of Comedy and whatnot. Just a magnificent man, and he is linking up once again with another streaming service. This time it's not Netflix that he's doing the dodgy dealings with. Of course, he released The Irishman and a short little theatrical release via Netflix. It then went on there. It was somewhat of a success, as much of a success as you can perhaps allude to with Netflix, because they don't like to share how their movies do on their platform. It's their platform, that's their business, and they don't have to share it, but it would be nice to know. But look, I digress, I'm going off on tangents already. That's never good. He has signed a new multi-picture deal, guys, with Apple TV Plus, and it's a first look multi-picture deal. We're getting Scorsese up there close and personal. I don't think anyone wants to see his eyebrows quite that much. He has very bushy eyebrows, doesn't he? There says, and I can't even remotely read that from here, so I'm going to read it off of my iPad. I have geriatric eyebrows. There says that the Oscar-winning director, and not just him, but his producing company, Sequelia Productions, have signed a first look film and TV deal with the tech giant. Under the multi-year deal, Scorsese will develop film and TV projects for Apple TV Plus's streaming platform. The deal comes as Scorsese is working on the feature film Killers of the Flower Moon, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro for Apple. It's his second straight feature made for a streaming outlet, following The Irishman on Netflix. Now, look, this is very exciting, man. Just because it's following on from numerous discussions that both me and Stephen have had on here about where cinema's going now, just the sort of attraction that these streaming services seem to have now for bigger and better productions, bigger and better acting names, higher calibre directors. We've seen the Coen brothers go to Netflix, we've seen Scorsese go to Netflix, we've seen Alfonso Cuarón go to Netflix. He's passing over now onto Apple TV Plus. We've had the likes of Tom Hanks going on to Apple TV Plus. These are names in Hollywood and in the movie industry in general who wouldn't have been seen dead going to a streaming service even 5 years ago. They wouldn't have been seen dead going there. It would have been dirty to them, the concept. The only one we've not seen do streaming service stuff yet, I believe, is Spielberg, but I think he is doing a TV show or something. He's working in collaboration with Apple TV Plus as well, so even he's getting in on it. And I just think it's so interesting to see the sort of evolution of the streaming services and how they have went from being mere sort of DVD rental companies who sent things out in the post to being these big behemoths that are actually having real sway in the decision making in Hollywood. They're picking up awards at the Oscars and at the Golden Globes and even at the BAFTAs over here in the United Kingdom. And it's so fascinating to see a man like this who's worked at the zenith of the 1970s in Hollywood, one of the greatest eras in modern Hollywood, now sort of signing a deal with Apple TV Plus. And it's so exciting to see Apple TV Plus as well, because the Lord knows they need content. Getting into bed with another big name like this, they're working with J.J. Abrams, I've worked with M. Night Shyamalan. They need content and they need it quick, because by all accounts they've got some nifty little TV shows. Greyhound is supposed to be very, very good. Still haven't seen it yet, because I kind of refuse to pay £5 per month to watch very limited content. I've already done that with Disney TV or Disney Plus, and I felt burned, and I'm not wanting to do it again. So until they start releasing things like that Killer of the Flower Moon, movie and some other big releases, then I will then feel compelled to go in and watch some of the content that they're producing. But I'm so excited, man. I love Scorsese. He's probably my all-time favourite director, alongside the likes of Tarantino and whatnot. And just to see him, what he's going to do with this, man, it's going to be very exciting. Sequelia Productions, I don't know if that's the same production team who worked in collaboration with, I believe, Todd Phillips is the name, if I'm not having another mind blank, on Joker. I think it was his production team who actually worked in conjunction with Todd Phillips to produce Joker. So, look, even though people like shite on that movie now, I'm actually trying to get something up here and it's not working. It was a very, very good movie, let's be honest. And if they are working even on a sort of their own and not having Scorsese there, then it's very, very exciting times, man, to see what they accomplish. But look, guys, I'm going to move on swiftly. We have comments in the comment section. I can't read them again because I'm as blind as a bat. I should be wearing glasses, and I just don't, because they don't look good. Even though they are Ray-Bans, you know, I don't want to wear them because they're terrible looking. Yes, Spielberg wasn't a fan of Netflix, but jumped over to Apple TV, the Apple TV bandwagon. Yeah, you're right, Howard. Yeah, he was a bit of a hypocrite there, wasn't he? He wanted Netflix movies to be, what the hell's it, Emmys? Up for Emmys. They were TV movies. They weren't worthy of being considered for the Oscars. And then you're right, he jumps into bed with the, it's not Zac Efron, Stephen, I don't know, Howard, I'm tripping out my napper here. It's because, again, I'm in the wrong scene. We'll bring it up. There we go. It's an absolute shambles of a show tonight, incidentally. Yeah, it's not, he's a hypocrite, essentially. But look, I'm going to move on, man, because I'm getting all discombobulated here. We're changing settings in the actual stream. So a live studio, and I can't read the comments now, so you've had it, Howard, and anyone else who comments. This next one's coming in from, I believe, Hollywood Reporter as well, and it's all about Elisabeth Moss, Elisabeth Moss, ready to go off a cliff here. And that is not a good thing, a good situation to be in when you're doing a live show on your own. Let me tell you, I am no John Campea. I can't speak at length for 2, 3, 4 hours. I don't have the brilliance of Robert Meyer Burnett to bounce off of. And I don't have the equal brilliance of my very own partner in crime, Stephen, to bounce off of. You can tell I'm missing him because I'm actually saying Stephen when it's Howard who's commenting in the comment section. But I digress. This is coming in from Hollywood Reporter, and it's very exciting news again. It's all about everyone's favourite psychotic killer who is masquerading as a protagonist in, of course, Invisible Man. She's teaming up once again with the production company who were involved in The Invisible Man, Blumhouse, of course, to make another psychological thriller. This one is going to be called Mrs. March. And she's had a lot to say about this. Well, she's had a lot to say, but not in this article, clearly. No, there you go. There's a quote there. She says, and I will try and read it from my iPad, I read Virginia's novel in one sitting and was so captured by it, I knew it had to make it and play Mrs. March as a character. She's fascinating, complex, and deeply human, and I can't wait to sink my teeth into her. Mrs. March is exactly the kind of engaging and challenging female-led project that Love and Squalor Pictures is built to make. As a company, we are thrilled to make our debut announcement in the feature space as partners with Blumhouse. And then obviously we have the Bo Bloom himself coming out and speaking about Elisabeth, and he says, not only is Elisabeth one of the finest actors of her generation, you would say that, you're not going to say she's shit, I just signed a deal with her, we don't really trust her, but we're doing it out of goodwill because she's done very well in that little $5 million horror movie at the beginning of the year, which incidentally may still be the top grossing movie of the year. I digress, he went on to say, but she is an unabashed fan of genre material and an incredible collaborator. Lindsay and Elisabeth have impeccable taste, and when they brought us Mrs. March, we jumped at the chance to work with them. Now, look, this is going to be quite hard for me to speak about because, to be quite frank, I don't know much about Mrs. March, so I'm going to go into bloody disgusting, which gives us a short little idea of what it's about in actual fact. And they say, Mrs. March follows a polished Upper East Side housewife who unravels when she begins to suspect the detestable protagonist of her husband's latest best-selling novel is based on her. I love that. I love that sort of Inception-esque levels which we're seeing introduced into this sort of story, into this movie perhaps, when it gets adapted, where it's a novel within a novel. I love it when they do that. It's a mind F. And I love the idea of her being this sort of disenfranchised, jilted lover or wife who has discovered that her husband perhaps doesn't like her quite as much as she likes him, or loves, and that he is sort of inadvertently taking a sort of stab at her, some pokes at her through his novel, and her discovering it and her going down a black hole into a psychological mess. That's very exciting indeed. And look, if anybody has seen The Invisible Man, you know how accomplished Elisabeth Moss is at getting her teeth into a role like this. She played an absolute wreck of a woman in that movie. She was all over the place. She managed to display the whole human lexicon of emotions in that movie. Grief, paranoia, sort of guilt at introducing this monster in this suit into the wider world. And just fear. There was everything in there. There was exhilaration at the end when she finally managed to kill him. She was a truly sort of complex character within a cracking little movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, incidentally. I know a lot of people had some issues with it. They felt that it was a little bit simplistic in places and that there was some plot holes in there. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was highly, highly enjoyable. And if she can even get a modicum, a fraction of that goodness and sort of supplant it into this movie, then we are on for an absolute winner. Blumhouse know how to take low budget movies like this and make them an absolute success. Howard is saying, I've got the comments back, Fandabidozi, as one little comedy comedian, that's the word I'm looking for, famously uttered in many a sort of theatre performance here. Jimmy Cranky, I think the name was. Says Zac Efron again. Yes, Stephen. I keep saying Stephen. I don't know why I keep saying Stephen. Yes, Howard. It's because I keep going to the wrong scene. I'm having a mare. Do stay with me. But back to Elisabeth Moss. I'm trying to read your comment there, Howard. Sorry, I keep calling you Stephen. She is very good in The Invisible Man in her brief appearance in Us. Yeah, was she in Us? I forgot she was in Us. Was she the wife of the Friends, I believe, that get done in? The house with the sort of annoying music getting blared out. They used her speedboat. Was that her? Maybe you can tell me below. Yeah, Zac Efron and three men and a little baby. I just can't get enough of that story. So I just keep getting back to it time and time again. You know, I love it so much. I'm so excited for that Disney reboot. And just to see Zac sort of slide himself back into the Disney behemoth indirectly and perhaps get himself into an Adam Warlock movie, as I says earlier on. Yeah, you get done. Yeah, I can't even read that. Yeah, get done in. Yeah, that was her. So you look, man, she's a magnificent actor. And I'm really, really excited to see her once again doing a psychological thriller. And just the sort of added little caveat of her working with a production company. That's very, very nice indeed to see her perhaps getting her feet in the door with that whole side of things. We've seen Margot Robbie and whatnot doing that as well. So it's going to be interesting times for Blumhouse. It's going to be very interesting times for Elisabeth Moss as well. But look, it's going to be interesting times for me because I'm moving on to the next topic. It's all about Seth Rogen. They are specifying in this article, coming from Digital Spy, strangely, an American Pickles. Seth Rogen, as if it wasn't for that upcoming movie that he's starring in, where he plays a sort of Jewish grandfatherly descendant, that we wouldn't know who Seth Rogen was if it wasn't for that. So that's strangely off the bat, but getting off on that a sort of strange misstep there from Digital Spy. I don't know what the hell they're doing there. Everyone knows who Seth Rogen is, Digital Spy. We don't need to have it added in that he is starring in an American Pickle. But look, I digress, man. He's been speaking about Marvel movies. He's been speaking about their effect on the movie industry over the last, God knows, 11, 12 years now, is it? Longer than that, 11 years I want to say. And he's been saying, and I digress, I will find the quote just now and tell you exactly what he's been saying. Hopefully I can marry this up with the iPad, because I'm toiling here. Something that me and producing partner Evan Goldberg talk about a lot is how Marvel movies are comedies. Thor Ragnarok is a comedy, Ant-Man is a comedy at its core. So that's what's out there. There are $200 million comedies out there. And so that's something, as a comedic filmmaker, to be aware of. That's the benchmark that people expect. He's went on to say thoroughly, and other quotes down there, I'll pop them up for you. If you are going to make a big, huge comedy, just know that your competition is like Marvel. Not to say you should not make these types of movies, but know that it's what audiences are seeing, and that when you see the movies in the theatres, they are playing like comedies. They are legitimately funny and star comedy stars. That's something we talk about a lot, just to be aware of as filmmakers. These huge budget films function like comedies. Audiences still love them. still love comedy, and they want that Deadpool, but the scope of them is huge. So when you're not offering that scope, you have to think, what am I offering them? That's why something like Good Boys does well, because we're not offering scope. He goes on to say it offered emotion, relatability, nostalgia. There's a trade-off. You've got funny movies, but you've not got the God of Thunder being funny in them. And look, I agree with Seth. I'm really happy to see someone who's sort of a prominent role, a prominent figure in Hollywood, rather. Seeing him speaking sort of, I wouldn't say he's speaking positively about Marvel movies, but he's not coming out and absolutely tanning them either. He's not saying it's the end of times and it's all Marvel's fault. They're ruining the cinematic experience. They're ruining it for independent filmmakers. We can't get our movies seen in theatres now because of big bad Marvel movies, and everyone want to go and watch them. He's admitting that yes, they are behemoths. They have $200 million budgets. They are dabbling in sort of sub-genres within genres in their movies. They're doing westerns, they're doing tinges of horror shortly with Multiverse of Madness, and they're doing comedy via great directors like Taika Waititi and whatnot in Ragnarok. But as an aside to that, even though he is aware of them doing that, he is also seeing the positive from it, that it's challenging out and out sort of not auteurs, but auteurs probably the correct word, people who know their craft very, very well. It's challenging people like him to make the purest form of the genre, try to capture other little elements that they are not getting, and bring people in for a different reason. I like the fact that he's sort of using the Marvel machine as a way to sort of better himself, to change the way that he's making movies, to make the experience more enriching to people. If they are enjoying this, perhaps they will enjoy this with a slightly different artistic flair or flourish to it. I enjoy it, man. I love the fact he's not just shitting on it. Seth's a great guy. And look, I really enjoyed Good Boys and what he did there. So if Marvel movies are forcing him to make himself better, to make the filmmaking better, to make the craftsmanship overall better, to make the genre pop more, then that can only be a good thing. And if that's the way that like-minded directors like Mike Flanagan in the horror genre, just people in other genres that they are impressing themselves upon in these movies, Marvel that is, if that's making them think outside of the box and create even more purified versions of these genre movies, then that can only be a positive thing for film. It can only be a positive thing for fans of those genres. And I don't want to keep sort of impressing the same point over and over again, but Marvel movies are great, man. Everybody who grew up watching comic book cartoons or just reading the comics themselves, they've got an enormous sense of excitement about what is happening with these movies. Getting to see these larger-than-life characters popping on the screen is a truly impressive thing. It's a positive thing. It's helping out so many people. It's empowering minority communities. It's empowering younger people, like that little guy who threw himself in front of a dog to save his sister. They're doing an enormous amount of good things. And they're also challenging people like Seth Rogen and hopefully guys like Mike Flanagan, who I'm flinging in there as well. They're challenging them to better filmmakers, to make more pure, artistic forms of the movies that they like to dabble in. But look, we've got another comment from Howard Wolowitz. No, he is wrong, as comedy is subjective and there is a different tones, slapstick, dark humour. Yeah, I think what he's saying though, in a sense, is that they're dabbling in comedy. These are huge movies, but don't be too downtrodden by that. Don't be too butthurt over the fact that more and more eyeballs want to go and watch Marvel movies and perhaps will dodge slapstick or more, singular genre movies like Good Boys. Don't be too downtrodden. Just make your craftsmanship better. Hone the genre even more, like he did with Good Boys. I mean, that's the only way you can look at it. You can only look at it from a positive sort of outlook. You can't just keep blaming Marvel movies and singing Woe Betide at the top of your voice, because they're not going anywhere. We've got Phase 4. They're here for the long run. But look, guys, I'm going to move on to not Elisabeth Moss, to the final topic of the show. And it's coming in from somewhere, and I'll tell you exactly where it's coming in from in just a moment. It's coming in from Cinema Blend, and it's all about John Wick and John Wick 4 and 5 more specifically, and why they ponder shooting them could be back-to-back could be the best idea. Now, Av says in the graphic there, is shooting John Wick 4 and 5 back-to-back a good thing? And I will offer my own opinion. I personally think that they are. Shooting back-to-back is a good idea. I think that it's a sensible option to sort of exercise for, first and foremost, Keanu Reeves, who is a man who's always in demand. His schedule's always absolutely packed. He's going to be getting into The Matrix again. If that sort of alternate universe prequel proves to be a hit and Lana Wachowski has even more ideas busting out of her head, he's going to go back to Matrix full time as well. So this is a man who's going to have his multiple irons in the fire, if that's even a saying. What is now? I've made it up. So I think it's sensible just for Keanu Reeves' scheduling issues and whatnot to have these movies shot back to back. It frees him up afterwards. And as they do say in this Cinema Blend article, there is a multitude of good reasons for why this could be the best thing for the John Wick franchise moving forward. They say first and foremost, as you can see there, the delay in getting back to shooting John Wick 4 gives the franchise more time to shape its future. And look, I couldn't agree more. We have seen Keanu Reeves speaking out about how he works really closely with Chad Stahelski with the production company in the studio to formulate ideas for sequels and just the franchise itself, where it's going in the future. He envisages himself playing this character potentially for the next decade. So if they're shooting them back to back, and it gives a little bit more time for preparation in the lead up to it, because you're not worrying about getting this done so you can go into the next movie, then all the better. It gives them more time to bat ideas off of each other's storyboard, formulate where they want to go with the franchise in the future, how they want the plot to be sort of marinate out. And that can only be a positive thing for the John Wick franchise, because Keanu knows what he's doing when he does this genre, and he's worked really closely with Stahelski before, as I did say, and they just make magic happen. Another reason they have says is stunt planning for John Wick 4 and 5 can be better developed, and again, I couldn't agree more with Cinema Blend. We have seen, well, if you're a fan of John Wick, you will have seen Keanu Reeves working tirelessly at shooting ranges and just in working and honing the choreographic process for these movies. It's slick as hell, man. The stunts are incredible. They're second only to Mission Impossible in their scope and just the realism that they bring. Just the way that he's popping the guns off, the way he's moving behind covers and just jumping around. He's a slick operator. Introducing the dogs with Charlize Theron, I believe it was, and John Wick 3 was a lovely move. It upped the sense of urgency in that scene. The dogs jumping up 10 feet and absolutely mauling people. It was magic. And if they can plan stunts better, if they can make the process even more slicker, and if they can make the movie bigger and better than before, having a slight delay and then shooting these movies back to back, once again, it can only be a positive thing, and I agree very much so with Cinema Blend. The other reason, there is a chance the story for John Wick 4 and 5 is a two-parter, and it did cross my mind as well. If they are shooting them back to back, you think of movies which were shot back to back before. Mission Impossible 7 and 8 are being shot back to back. We had Infinity War and Endgame, they were shot back to back. Movies which are in a sense two parts. They have one continuous story which sort of has a 6-arc story, plots for lack of a better word, over the two movies. And if this is something they're doing here, if they're perhaps opening up a more grandiose setting that can't be sort of constrained into one 2-hour movie, 2 hour and 15-minute long movie, then maybe a two-parter is a great idea, and the best way to keep that sort of natural progression and just evolution of the characters and the story itself is to film them back to back. It feels like one big production with a sort of intermission in the middle. I agree with that as well. The next point, planning John Wick 5 now could help the various in-universe spin-offs, and again, that's another great reason why this could perhaps work. We could have more TV shows like The Continental popping up. We could have the continuing adventures of some of the side characters in this. Maybe the likes of Winston, I believe it is, played by, I always forget his name, Ian McShane. If we were perhaps doing spin-off movies or TV shows with them, then we could in actual fact see this being a great thing for setting up in-universe spin-offs. Further delving into the criminal underworld, the mythology of this universe, and what a great way to do it through the medium of a two-part movie. I nearly had a stroke there, guys. I think it's time to round this show up in short shrift, but look, I digress, man. There's a couple of more points in there, but I'm not going to go through them all. Old friends could pop back up. Yeah, I mean, we could see some cracking little characters who weren't there, like Commons Cassian, as they do say, popping back up in this story. That would be a great thing if perhaps he could come back in and have a meaningful role to play in it. You see there, they're touching upon the scheduling issue. Says that already. And the fans won't have long to wait, and that's the ultimate reason why this is a great idea for John Wick, the franchise, to sort of bring them back into a sort of homogenous melting pot, the two movies. You won't have to wait as long. If they're in the can and they are worked on in terms of post-production together, then one can be released and the other one can be released a year later. And we're not having to wait 2-3 years until Keanu Reeves' schedule is freed up, until he is freed up sort of emotionally from the draining choreography, because he's got all out his system in one sort of dual part movie. But look guys, I'm excited for John Wick regardless what happens. I'm very excited to see where the continuing adventures of Keanu Reeves, where it goes in his career, in terms of Matrix, in terms of John Wick. And just, I can't wait to see Winston coming back, seeing the Continental. I love these stories, I love the slickness of it. There's a simplicity to it, it's a great revenge movie. We've seen a renaissance for revenge movies over the last 4 or 5 years, the likes of Peppermint, Death Wish, that Liam Neeson one, that was set in the snow. And of course John Wick. So it's just great to see this genre having a bit of a renaissance, coming back into the fore once again. It's just great to see Keanu Reeves back, man. I love the man. I've loved him since Speed and Constantine. I have to watch Bill and Ted and see what he did in a completely different genre and a completely different time in his career. But look, I gotta digress, guys. I'm going to round up the show on that note, because I am done. Thank you very much, Howard. I was having borderline strokes. I was calling you Stephen. I'm tripping out my nut. I hope you do understand it's very, very warm in here. Very warm. It must be at least 30 degrees in here just now with these lights and whatnot. So it's not easy doing it on your own. But look, I digress. I'm going to put it over to you now, guys. I've said I digress about 20 times in this show, incidentally. It's making a comeback, much like Keanu Reeves. What do you make about Tenet Tickets going on sale over here in the UK? Are you from the UK? Do you plan to go and see this movie on opening night or within the opening weekend itself? Are you excited for it? Do you think that Christopher Nolan can make this a success, even in a global pandemic? What's your thoughts on the New Mutants? You think that will hit the theatres on the 28th of August? You think that Disney care about it? Are they flinging it under the bus as a sort of canary? What do you make about Elisabeth Moss teaming up with Blumhouse once again? Martin Scorsese signing a deal with Apple TV Plus. Seth Rogen speaking sort of positively about the sort of tyrannical forces of Marvel and what they're doing to the cinematic experience. And finally, about John Wick 4 and 5 shooting back to the back. If you have got anything to say about any of the topics, you should comment below and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. I will get back to you, and we can perhaps have a debate if you disagree. Yes, I will get it on a t-shirt. I'm currently wearing a Farah t-shirt. I'll get that to crap, or that crap to hell, and I'll get an I digress t-shirt flung in there. It's my catchphrase, almost like Ricky Gervais and extras. But look, I digress, man. You can also like I digress, says it again. You can like the video and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Lord knows why you would. It's been a terrible show for me, and if you do, you'll see me back again tomorrow with Stephen, and you will see us on Friday for our review of the absolutely wondrous what the hell are we reviewing on Friday again? I think it's Kick-Ass. I was about to say Kick-Ass, but I had to just make sure there. You'll see us for Kick-Ass on Friday, guys. Bye-bye!